Okay, so when women say I'm an alpha female, they're really not an alpha female. What they're doing is they're using a male context for what they think alpha is and what they think beta is. So when I think of like women who call themselves an alpha female, it's usually like somebody like Sheryl Sandberg from like, she used to be the CEO of Facebook, but like one of these Fortune 500, bad bitches who's like the top 10 richest females in the world, right? When women call themselves alpha females and they're running their business and they make their own damn money and everything else, they're basing their understanding of alpha on an alpha male. Okay, so from the position of I've got a good job, I've got my shit together, got my education together, I got the money, I got the bag, everything else. Where's my man, right? Well, the problem is you're a woman and you've become the man that you wanted to marry, and so all the guys that you would possibly even consider are never going to measure up to the level of achievement that you've gotten by following an alpha male sort of tract in your life.
Because a man wants like the opposite.
Okay, so from an evolutionary biological sense, an alpha female is a woman who is probably a sex worker, someone who has big breasts and nice hourglass figure, someone a woman who can outclass other women in sexual prowess in the sexual marketplace, who maximizes femininity rather than masculinity, because alpha is the way that women see alpha is from their examples are alpha males, and they want to be like that because, like I said before, we've conditioned 4 generations of women right now to think that the best thing to be is just like the men that they wanted to marry. And by the way, when I say women have become the men that they wanted to marry, I'm not the one that coined that term. It was Gloria Steinem in 1970 during the militant feminism years that keeps getting repeated today in 2023. So all of this rhetoric that got started during the late 60s and early 70s, we're still repeating it over and over and over again right now. So when we say alpha female, it's the bad bitch, but it's based on a male archetype, not on a female archetype. The female archetype would look like a hot swimsuit model.
Well, consider like a man who is alpha, let's just say an alpha male, he would be more desirable financially. So somebody you'd want to hire, the NFL quarterback or the linebacker, the man who's incredibly competent, right? The CEO who knows how to make a lot of money for his company, or the man who's physically attractive or attractive to women in some other reason, we'd call him alpha, or he'd be a leader of men, like a military commander. Those 3 concepts then applied to a female would make her less attractive. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like his alphaness makes him more attractive and more competent. Her literally desiring those things in and of itself is a catch-22 situation, because she becomes less attractive in that she wants to become alpha or that she does become alpha. I do not want a woman who is a leader of men. That does not turn me on.
So alpha female would be the female who can pull the most men.
I don't know that the term doesn't fit. Does that make sense?
I think when I was,
it's like the biggest penis on a woman. How does that work?
Yeah,
how does the biggest penis on a woman work?
To women, you're saying.
Well,
I don't get that.
That makes sense. I see that. Okay.
I think when I used to say that, I used to be like, "Oh, I'm an alpha female." I used to use that all the time, but I felt that way when I was dating women, because I'm like, I used to take my girlfriend out.
You took charge.
Yeah, I took her out for $10,000 shopping sprees, and and she's.
I feel like even the most alpha, whatever, female, self-proclaimed, proclaimed by others, whatever, will still defer to a man.
Mama to women, not men.
See,
it was one man and
that's what I'm saying.
And this is interesting because like she's talking about even in a homosexual relationship, there's still a dominant and a submissive.
Yeah.
There's still a masculine and a feminine, even in same-sex
then my
couples.
first time dating a guy, or not dating a guy, but like I really wanted a serious relationship with a guy, I still kind of treated him like a woman. And then when I wanted him to be a man, I realized how hard it was to be a man. I'm like, man, like if I get pregnant and this house burns down, who's gonna save me? Not him. I gotta put everybody, my dog and him, on my back, and I gotta save us all. So I started realizing like I don't actually want to be with a woman. I want to be with a real man. But I just like want to have, what is it called when you want women together?
Polygyny.
So that's what I would like.
Too.
I would give the functional equivalent, like a woman that says, I'm an alpha female. That's like me, going and getting manicures and wearing heels on Saturdays and saying, oh yeah, I'm a super pretty boy.
See,
like you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a feminine man.
Saggy pants and
I'm a feminine man. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like what I mean? It's very unattractive, and I don't think women grasp that, like how unattractive it is when she's loud, she's rambunctious. Like that's like me wearing heels and coming up to you and saying, oh, let's go on a date. You'd be like, what the fuck? Ew. That's how men feel when women act. Like
apply the alpha term to
not
female.
to sound racist, but there's a reason why women score low on dating apps in general as far as like approval ratings, and the reason why is because they have a bad stigma, and I could say this is a black guy, they have a bad stigma for being masculine, unfortunately, and masculinity is not something that men in general find attractive.
No, but like if you have to think about it for African American, so my mom is black, and I only grew up with my mom and my two older brothers, but like I told you before, my mom only taught me how to be an independent, strong woman because she struggled and she doesn't want me to struggle, so she says, don't rely on a man. Go get what you got to get. And so I never understood, oh, hey, like this clock is ticking. Hey, you want to actually have kids, or hey, like this is the family dynamic you want. I'm thinking, I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be broke like my mom. I don't want to be struggling. So I need to get my own, be a bad bitch, be this, be that. And then my mom's like cheering me on, like, go to college. F these guys. And then as soon as like I get a boyfriend, let's say the boyfriend does something stupid, like let's say he didn't take out the trash. This is why I tell you, you don't need a man.
And that's a very, it's so many women like are indoctrinated by that, especially in the black community where there's no fathers. So you have women basically acting like men and like women, and they tell them and they say, "Fuck man, niggas ain't shit." Blah blah blah. We know what it is, right? So it's just we
teach women fear. That's why we don't. We teach women, like I said, the last four generations. We've taught women to distrust men. Period. They're either Homer Simpson. They're like doofy dad that mom has to like save them from themselves, right? And then you've got
Homer
the guy
Simpson,
then there's the guy who's the borderline abusive guy. He's going to send you to the women's shelter kind of thing. And we can't trust that guy either. And then there's the new millennial / Zoomer guy who is incompetent. He can't drive a stick shift. Doesn't know how to tie a tie.
I'm finding a lot of feminine men these days. Like a lot of very like men that like allow so many things to affect them. Like I dated somebody that I really liked, and I thought he was a very masculine man, and then something had happened at his job. He had just had like a scolding, a talk to, a write up, and he was about to walk out of his job and cuss everybody out and break down and cry on the phone. I'm like, oh my God. And it was like the weirdest.
He was probably raised by a woman, and that's the thing is that unfortunately we tell men to get in touch with their feminine side. It's okay to be emotional, blah blah blah. And the reality is there's no place for emotional men. There really isn't. And women aren't attracted to it. Society doesn't want it. Emotional men end up shooting schools and doing really stupid things. If you look at prison, it's filled with emotional men. Emotional men are the ones that hit women. Emotional men are the guys that act on emotion, right? They're erratic. They behave on how they feel at the moment.
100%.
Well, because women cannot trust men for their long-term security, they then have to, like your mom, you have to do it yourself. You can't trust men because you got to get the bag and make sure you have this insurance policy so when he fucks up, you're going to be okay. And then what that does is that turns you into the man that you wanted to marry, because now you have to take over the conventionally masculine responsibility of provisioning, protection, and parental
But that's such a struggle.
investment.
Like, why wouldn't you just raise your kids and allow your husband to be their dad?
They don't have a husband though. That's the problem.
Either they leave or they push them away or something.
You have a 56%
or they
divorce
never
rate
get there.
in the country.
What's the stat? Did you get the stats?